What's happening, dogs? Mr. Allen here. We're about to write the inverse of this function, and we're going to list the domain and range for both this function and its inverse. So to start finding my inverse, I just need to swap my x and y's. I don't see a y, f of x is my y, right? So I'm going to have x equals the square root of y minus 3 plus 2. Now I can start resolving this thing for y to get my inverse. So I'm going to subtract 2 first, and I'll have x minus 2 equals the square root of y minus 3. Now, to get rid of that square root, I'm going to need to square both sides. So square over here, and I'm going to square this side as well. I'm going to leave that as x minus 2 quantity squared, and then this is just going to go ahead and cancel the radicals. So now what I have is x minus 2 quantity squared equals y minus 3. And I just have one last step to do. I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I'll have y equals. So I'm going to rewrite this in function notation. F inverse of x is equal to x minus 2 squared plus 3. So that is going to be my inverse. Beautiful. Now I need to find my domain restrictions and range restrictions for both. Well, let's start with the OG, right? The original function up there. If I want to find my domain and also my range, how am I going to do that? Well, my domain are just my x no-nos, right? Well, what can I have anything I want for x? Are there restrictions on that? Well, it's inside the radical, right? And I can't square root negative numbers and have it be a function, right? So I got to make sure this thing is either 0 or larger than 0 altogether. So what's going to do that? That's going to be 3, right? If I set x minus 3 greater than or equal to 0 and solve, it's going to be x is greater than or equal to positive 3. You can also write that in interval notation with 3 comma infinity. Brackets around the 3 because we're including it. Parentheses around that infinity because I don't know about you, but I can't get to infinity, okay? It's not possible. It's not possible, so I can't include it. All right, my range. My range here. This might help to look at a little graph, a little sketch of this graph here. If I were to pop up a quick x, y coordinate plane, I have a shift of 3 to the right and up 2 for my little start point of my radical, and it's going to look like that. So if I'm up 2, that's the lowest it ever gets. I'm 2 and above for my range, so it's going to be y is greater than or equal to 2. And just the same way, I can do 2 comma infinity, brackets around my 2, parentheses around my infinity. So either way you shake down right there, we got our 2 different types of notations, your call, right? Unless it specifies which one to use. Now over here, I can rethink all this stuff here, right? But really, if my x's and y's switched to get my inverse function, then I can just switch my domain and range, right? Because my domain and range are just based off my x and y's. So here my domain is going to be my x is greater than or equal to positive 2, and my range is going to be y is greater than or equal to positive 3. That is super duper dope right there. Let me tell you what.